So in 2021, Xbox Game Pass has roughly 354 games available on its catalog, which is an absolutely insane deal. But with that being said, sometimes Game Pass can be overwhelming. You log into the service and boom, you are hit with hundreds of titles in your face. It can be hard to sort through which ones will, make most of your time, which ones are the best titles on the service, or just which ones will you have the most fun playing. But that is why your boy is here today. I am Squiz, also known as the Elusive Squirrel, and today I am bringing you the top 10 indie games available on Xbox Game Pass. Now, mind you, this list is completely based off of my opinion alone. There's no statistical figure to this at all. This list also is in no specific order, meaning number 10 isn't the worst and number 1 isn't the best. These are just 10 great games I think you should check out that are available on the service. This is all subjective, so if you have a different list, feel free to comment down below. Tell me what are your top 10 indie games on Game Pass. Coming in at number 10 on my list is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Now, this game is a direct sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, so if you haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest, definitely play that one first. But the reason the Will of the Wisp is number 10 on my list is because it is seriously the perfect sequel to an already phenomenal game. They really took everything that was phenomenal and great about the Blind Forest and just made it so much better in Will of the Wisps. Now, if you're completely unfamiliar with either of these games, they are platforming Metroidvania type titles that have an absolutely beautiful art style to them. The world is just filled with different lush environments and beautiful colors, all while providing tight and extremely challenging gameplay. Don't let the cutesy characters fool you here. This game can be extremely challenging, especially the boss fights added in Will of the Wisps. I really enjoyed them. They really just took the gameplay to that next level. The huge open world that Will of the Wisp provide is something that's absolutely phenomenal. As soon as I started playing this game, I was truly hooked into it. Same with my girlfriend as well. She really got captivated by these games. The score is probably one of the best scores in indie game history. I mean, seriously, they capture the mood and really set the atmosphere for this game. So if you haven't played any of the Ori series, definitely start with Blind Forest first, but you have to try these games, especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber. They're both available for you, and trust me, they're definitely worth your time. All right, so number 9 on my list is Going Under. Now, Going Under just hit Game Pass this last month, so it's pretty new to the service, and it's kind of a hidden gem, but it is a super unique title that everybody should try. It's a roguelike game taking place in capitalistic America where you play as an intern trying to work their way up in the office. And by work your way up, I mean killing hundreds of goblins in the office with anything you can get your hands on. Desktop computers, chairs, giant pencils. You're grabbing anything you would have in a normal office space and slaying goblins with it. And if that doesn't have you hooked already, I don't know what will. But I gotta say, even when you're not working your way through the awesome Office Place dungeons, there's a huge cast of characters that are hilarious. They have great one-liners, and they're really relatable characters. What also makes this game unique is the art style. I absolutely fell in love with the art style and design of this game. This was built from a small studio people, and they had their own little unique twist on it, and I absolutely love that about it. It brings a charm to the game that, you can't find anywhere else, really. Go support this indie title on Game Pass. If you really like it on Game Pass, give it a purchase as well. It really helps these smaller studios. Going Under is one you all should try for sure. Coming in at number 8 on my list is one of my personal favorite games ever, Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is a turn-based roguelike game where the whole purpose is to make it through one of these randomly generated paths to the epic boss battle at the end. Now, there are 3 different acts in this game, so if you're like me and you get through the first act and you're like, I finally beat this game, you didn't. You're not even close. Now, during these randomly generated paths, you're going to run into different enemies, merchants, opportunities to rest or upgrade your deck, random boss battles. There's going to be twists and turns at every minute. And again, these are randomly generated, so if you die, it's not like you're going to go through the same path with the same twists and turns the next playthrough. And I think that's what makes it so addicting. You're just trying to build the perfect deck. Each playthrough is a whole different opportunity. And with Slay the Spire's 4 different types of main characters, there's tons of different deck styles and play styles to choose from. And gameplay aside, the design of the cards and the characters themselves are absolutely beautiful. The art style is wonderful here. And even though these characters don't say much, I feel like you really do enjoy them and they really have a charm to them. Slay the Spire is one of those games where even if you're not into card games or into roguelikes, I would 100% suggest trying it out, especially as a Game Pass subscriber. This was one of the first roguelikes I got into, and I'm not even really a huge card gamer either, and I absolutely love this game. Definitely give Slay the Spire a try, and I'd be surprised if you didn't end up addicted to it. Coming in at number 7 on my list is Descenders. Now, Descenders is a downhill bike racing game like no other. A lot of people jump to the conclusion that this game is just like Trials, another popular biking game, but it's truly not. When hopping into Descenders, you basically are given almost like a Slay the Spire style of map. It's a randomly generated map full of different races that each come with their own steepness, challenge level, stunt level, and you're just going down these hills at absolutely blistering speeds. I mean, you are absolutely hauling ass down these tracks, and each map has, its own different kind of environment to it, so figuring out how to cut through these turns at the exact time or to get over certain obstacles on each course truly feels like an awesome skill to master. And almost like any other roguelite experience, you're gonna fail a lot in Descenders. There's gonna be a lot of times you try to make a turn or you try to hit a stunt too late and you're gonna crash. And as a roguelike fan, I really enjoyed the randomly generated maps that brought all kinds of different challenges that really felt refreshing. You never felt like you were just doing the same thing over and over again. And in a lot of racing games, it's really not like that, so I really appreciate that aspect of Descenders. It never really feels stale. Again, this game is perfect for the service because if you're not into racing games, it doesn't mean you're necessarily gonna dislike Descenders. So definitely go and give this one a try. This game has seen massive success on Game Pass, so I'm sure a lot of you out there will really enjoy it. Coming in at number 6 on my list is Celeste. Now, Celeste is a charming and top-tier 2D platformer. This game has you temporarily climbing walls, jumping and dashing at extremely precise times to make it through extremely tough levels. But it's not just the satisfying and challenging gameplay that get people hooked on this game, it's the deep and relatable story. Now, in Celeste, you play as Madeline, climbing to the top of Celeste Mountain, all while overcoming anxiety and self-doubt. I think this game's story really represented mental health issues incredibly well. It made the main character relatable. It made the cast of side characters have a whole other level of depth to them. And just the whole time you're rooting for her to overcome these issues and get to the top of the mountain. It's truly an inspirational story. And then to pair with great gameplay and great story, you obviously have a beautiful art design here and a beautiful score. The music in this game is truly phenomenal. And that's something that you're just gonna see on this list. I mean, the art styles and the music in these games are just top tier. That's what truly makes these games stand out from the rest of their competition. Like I said, Celeste is a top tier 2D platformer, but the story has a lot more to offer there. I would definitely suggest this one, guys, especially as a Game Pass user. And if you're up for a good challenge, you gotta give this one a go. Okay, coming in at number 5 on my list is a one-of-a-kind Metroidvania title called Hollow Knight. Now, in Hollow Knight, you play as this tiny little insect knight in a dead and abandoned kingdom called Hollow Nest. Now, at first glance, this map does look dreadful and depressing, but this map is actually full of life and is super fun to explore thanks to its incredible soundtrack and cast of enemies. Now, again, you're a bug, so you're coming across all kinds of different common enemies that are also bugs, and then when you do run into the either higher up enemies or the boss enemies, they feel truly unique, and the art style on them is incredible. So even though this place is supposed to be dead and abandoned, it does feel full of life and character. This game seriously has a one-of-a-kind atmosphere. I think they were able to pull that off with the character designs and the music combined. It just has this eeriness feeling to it that really keeps you hooked, especially with this game's DLC. It has a ton of content to it. You can seriously soak like 30 to 40 hours in this game easy. So even if you're new to Metroidvanias, I would say this is a great place to start just because it is so captivating in the world around you. It's just awesome. And that's what's so great about Game Pass, right? We get to try all these titles. Even if you're not sure if you like that genre or whatever, or bought it on its own, it gives you a chance to play through it and see if you do like that genre, and really kind of opens up your palette to gaming. Coming in at number 4 on my list is Donut County. Now, I can't lie, I didn't think Donut County was a game I'd really be into, and I definitely never would have tried it if it wasn't for Game Pass. But boy, was I pleasantly surprised. Donut County is a game where you quite literally play as a sinkhole, swallowing up smaller prey, which then makes the hole bigger as you go on to consume an entire town in some cases. While the gameplay is super simple, it's actually really relaxing. This is one of those like Zen type titles where after a long day of work, you can just be a sinkhole and eat an entire town, and it's somehow extremely comforting and fun to play through. Now, there is a fun, lighthearted story to this game. It's nothing super deep, but you basically just are the town people underground reflecting on how they got swallowed up by this hole. So you'll have a cutscene where you talk about like, oh, I was at the water park and I got swallowed up by this sinkhole, and then you'll go immediately play that as you swallow up that townsperson in the entire water park. It sounds and is a very goofy premise, but I'm telling you, this game is super relaxing. It is a very short game, it's a very brief experience, but like I said, it's nothing too deep. It's just about relaxing and having fun. I think simplistic games like this are the perfect games to have on Game Pass. A lot of people wouldn't want to pay full price for that game, so I think it really helps the developers get their name and game out there when they have these type of games on the service. Coming in at number 3 on my list is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Now, I know what you're thinking. This looks like a AAA game, and I thought it was a AAA game until I started making this video. But Hellblade was actually only made by around 20 people. And I was already impressed by the game when I first played through it without knowing that, but now I'm way more impressed with the title, knowing that it only was made by 20 people. Now, Hellblade's all about Senua trying to get to Helheim to rescue the dead soul of her lover. But along that journey, you are hearing tons of voices in your head. There's tons of audio and visual tricks going on. You're basically in a psychosis state this whole game. So it's hard to trust what is real, especially when there's no combat tutorial or tutorials at all. You're kind of just thrown in here fighting these Norse and Celtic enemies while hearing all these voices in your head that deal with emotions of guilt, shame, depression. And then once you start fighting these enemies, sometimes they even help you, so you really can't even trust yourself in this game. But the immersion in this game is truly like no other. I suggest playing this game with a great headset because hearing these voices in Senua's head and all these different audio tricks going on is so unique. And again, I'm extremely impressed it was made by such a small studio of people. The story of this game kind of can relate to Celeste in a more brutal way. The mental health aspect of it is really something incredible. It really raises awareness for things like psychosis and schizophrenia, and a lot of games definitely do not tackle that. So I had to give a huge shout out to Ninja Theory for that. Not only bringing awareness to this, but kind of giving us a straight up feeling of psychosis is something I never would imagine possible in a video game. And with Hellblade 2 on the way within the next year or two, it's a perfect time to play the first Hellblade. This is even going to be an Xbox exclusive, so Xbox Game Pass users definitely dive in and try this one out. Coming in at number 2 is Dead Cells. Now, Dead Cells is one of the most popular indie games for a reason. It blends the Metroidvania and roguelike genres together. While the loot, weapons, buffs, and map are randomly generated, it is very much presented in a classic Metroidvania style, which a lot of people have grown to love. And another thing that makes this game so special is the level of difficulty of it. I would easily say this is the Souls type of roguelike games, and you have to have impeccable decision-making skills on each run. Like I said, the amount of weapons and buffs there are in this game are incredible, so you really have to have it together when deciding what kind of character you want to build. And this is what really captured my love of roguelikes for me. This game truly got me addicted because even though I was extremely frustrated I died, it was just like Dark Souls where you're still motivated to get right back up and keep going. And again, the game never feels stale or falls short. So even when you die and you're frustrated, you're still coming across new weapon types. The map is fresh and interesting. You're never going around the same path twice. It just keeps you hooked. The formula is absolutely perfect for this game, and Dead Cells is what really captured me into the roguelike genre. And if you played the original Dead Cells, there's tons of DLC to go back and play. Now, I personally haven't played those yet, but just making this review is making me want to hop back in to that Souls type roguelike game and conquer those DLCs. While the difficulty makes it not the most user-friendly place to start in the roguelike genre, I would say this is a must play if you're trying to get into the genre itself. This game will definitely test your patience, decision-making skills, and your reaction time. If you're looking for a challenge, definitely give Dead Cells a try. Coming in at number 1 on my list is Undertale. Now, Undertale is easily one of the most famous, if not the most famous indie game ever made. So there's no question of why it should be on this list. It's finally on Game Pass, which is absolutely incredible. But if you don't know what Undertale is, it's basically like an Earthbound-styled RPG, but with its own completely unique combat system and charmful, humorous story. I mean, the story itself was incredible. They threw just the right amount of humor into the story without feeling like they were pushing it. I mean, seriously, every character is hilarious and charming. But to me, the combat system is the most unique thing I've ever seen in a video game. I mean, you could completely go through this whole entire RPG game without killing or even fighting an enemy. So basically, when you come across an enemy, you can choose to fight it, you can choose mercy, and some options you can even choose to flirt with the monster. It puts you into a minigame where you basically just have to dodge flying objects coming at you. You control this little heart and you just dodge all the different things on screen, and while that's happening, the monster will have some dialogue with you. And that really lets you get to know the personality of the monsters you fight, and they are usually pretty hilarious. And this is definitely one of those video games that's very self-aware. It's a game. So not just in combat where you get these funny moments, if you like click on something stupid or try to do some weird option, you usually get some kind of funny or snarky dialogue. It's really hard to put in perspective like what makes Undertale so special. The soundtrack, like all these other indie games, is great, but Undertale is one of those things until you play it, you won't be completely sure why it's so special, and that's why I had to put it on my list. I mean, obviously it's one of the most popular ones, but it's like that for a reason. You really just have to play it to truly understand why it's so special. And like I said, you can fight your way through this game, you can completely talk your way through it. It has its own unique play style too. So if you somehow have not checked out Undertale by now, I would 100% check this out. This was a huge win for Xbox Game Pass. When I saw this was coming to the service, I was so stoked. So many Xbox players have been waiting to play this game. Definitely go play that one. I mean, I don't even have to tell you that. Its reputation basically defends itself. All right, guys, so that was my top 10 indie games on Xbox Game Pass. Again, there's no specific order. These are just 10 different games that are absolutely worth your time in playing. But there are seriously a boatload of games on Game Pass. So let me know, what are your top 10 indie games on Game Pass? I know there's going to be some people that disagree with me, so definitely put your list down below. And then also, what genre or type of game should I cover next on Game Pass? Or just in general, doesn't even have to be a Game Pass top 10. Just put your suggestions down below. If you made it to the end of the video, I truly appreciate you. And I can't wait to catch you on the next video.